bonjour. Right, welcome to my video tribute to Kevin O'Neill, who sadly passed away yesterday, and an artist whose work I grew up with. I'd done a Carlos Esquerra one, and like I said in that video, these guys' artwork. Maybe Kevin O'Neill wasn't as prolific as Carlos Esquerra, to be fair, but nevertheless, this artwork in the form of 2000 AD, which is where I first encountered, where he was art editor on 2000 AD. That's a cover by Kevin O'Neill, and I just grew up with it. I just grew up with this guy's artwork. It's as simple as that. What I'm going to try and do is show the more obscure stuff, because I'm thinking that unless unless you're my age and you're English, you haven't seen this stuff. So this is why I want to show off some of the more obscure and earlier stuff of O'Neill's work, because I think we're all familiar. If we love our comics, we're all familiar with the stuff he did with Alan Moore, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and we're probably all familiar with Marshal Law, although I have got a couple of Marshal Law bits I will go through. But early stuff like this, I'm hoping he's going to be, if you like his work, and this is just my little tribute to him. Another cover there with his art of his artwork. Like I say, he was art editor on this, and this is November 1977. So we'll get into this, because he was this was Roadbusters, which kind of predates ABC Warriors, which, like I say, younger audiences or maybe a more general audience will know. But he was there. Kevin O'Neill's designs and his early artwork and that, the DNA will be in the stories you know and love. So I'm going to go back to this earlier stuff, and like I say, a bit obscure. Now this was, and where I started digging around, look at this cover, and you can't tell me that doesn't look like an early go. He's got it in his head. This is just the cover. It looks like the Blitz Spear, Nemesis, which is one of his, which is, apart from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I would say it's the one that for me, it was Kevin O'Neill and Nemesis the Warlock, to be fair. But that's my age, my generation. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I always enjoyed his artwork, whatever he did. This was the first story that led to Nemesis the Warlock in here, called Terror Tube, and we're going to go through that. We're going to have a little look at it, how quirky, and how he did the alien, the alien with the early Nemesis stuff. How quirky that was, and just a quick run through like these covers. Look, going to have a little look. I'm going to have a little look, and then there's some interior artwork which I've marked. So we're going to go through them. Look at the year of that, 2000 AD annual, 1979. And on, another two. He didn't do the cover of that, but we're going to go. So I've got a pile of annuals there with little stories and future shocks and stuff to go through. Now, obviously, I know Marshal Law he's known for, particularly in the US. I think the Pat Mills and Kevin O'Neill's creation, Marshal Law. But this is unusual because it's got the mask in it, and I'm not sure. And it was Dark Horse, late 90s. This one. So I just thought that was a look at that cover. This is a great cover. That's how you sell comics, look, with a cover like that. And then right up to date, I don't know if many of you or any of you would have picked this up by Avatar, 2016. So it's still 6 years old, but some nice unusual stuff. Again, he liked working with Alan Moore. Well, it seems to me he likes working with Alan Moore anyway. In his inimitable style, and also the Marshal Law stuff, Pat Mills, Alan Moore. So yeah, we'll have a little look. We'll have a little look through a few of them. He's done a few stories in. I'm not sure how many issues that went for, but he just had his own style. I'm going to show you some of the early stuff you might not have seen. You might be, obviously familiar with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen if you've gone through this intro this far. You know the Marshal Law, you know the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or if you want to find out, that they are plentiful. But the stuff I want to look at, the earlier stuff and the quirkier stuff and the more unusual stuff, Might just be a few bits and pieces there that we can appreciate his work together and his idiosyncratic style. And he was a one-off. He didn't work in the style of John Buscema or in the style of Jim Lee. He was the one-off, and yeah, just makes you wonder what's going to come on after him, what's going to fill the gap. But that's what makes it sad, to be fair. So yeah, after the scroll, please join me for my little tribute via my own collection. It's not going to be anywhere like, it's not going to be a massively in-depth kind of comprehensive review, but this is via my collection, my personal tribute. Let's go. Right, so I'm going to try and do this in date order as much as I can, and a lot of it is going to be 2000 AD. From my, like I say, from my personal collection. Look at this. This is the first cover that Kevin did, 6th of August. So it's issue 24. So 2 years into 2000 AD. I think he started as our assistant. I could be wrong on that, but I know that there was review. There's been interviews with him where I thought he was our editor, where he used to white stuff out and that. But anyway, I just thought you can tell already. You can see already his style of art. This intricately detailed artwork, especially on the tech. I'm not saying he couldn't draw figures, but especially on the tech. Very, very distinctive style. He always knew. And inside, so this is 2 years into 2000 AD. This is when it was in its heyday, to be fair. Invasion was a popular story. But that's not what we're interested in. We're here for Kevin O'Neill, and he did just this little dogs. They used to call them future shocks, but I don't know why they didn't call this a future shock. And again, you can see the detail in his work, particularly with the tech. He just did it. You could tell he loved the tech all the way through. And oh, this is just a story, like a Willy Wonka-esque story, where a kid turns up unannounced, where they produce 2000 AD and it blows his mind. But like I say, his style didn't change. This is 1977, so 45 years ago. And this is one of the first examples of his artwork I've got in my collection. So that's 1977. Then that year you've got this summer special with his artwork on the cover. These were done very cheaply back in this day, and it might be that it was cheaper to get the art assistant or the art editor just contributed, you know, by doing these little bits and pieces, because they weren't the best in the early days. They weren't the best. And I'm not sure whether this is the one and only time he did Judge Dredd, which is why I thought this was interesting. And again, he doesn't do the best Dredd. I'll admit that. I love the man's artwork, but again, it's the tech. It's the tech stuff, and it's not till you get to Nemesis, really, in the later years, that it all comes together like in an organic way, if that makes sense. You know, I like the way he did the bike. A very reminds this early stuff, and especially doing Dredd, remind me of Ron Smith. And again, he was, you know, like when he's doing the rifles here, you know, you think of like Mike McMahon style compared to this Kevin O'Neill stuff. He loved his road, you know, all the way through his career. I'm pretty sure he enjoyed doing the right. Look at that. This is exactly what I mean. This stuff. I think that's really nice. That's 1977 summer special. And just all bits and pieces. That this is just a cover that he did. Nothing. He didn't do anything inside. Just a cover on that, and another cover on a Christmas issue. But inside, obviously Star Wars was big. Photo review inside, December 77. And inside he does Bonjo from Beyond the Stars. Now this was an irregular strip that he did, and I don't know why he tended to do these one-page humour strips. You know, this was just one joke, one sketch, and again, thought it was interesting. He wrote the sketch as well, so you know, maybe they needed a page filling. He was art editor, you know, or art, whatever it was. He was when's this? So we're still, you know, we're not only 3 years. 3 years. I'm going monthly, aren't I? We're still only. Sorry, my apologies. We're still only in the first year of 2000 AD. This is the early days. And a nice O'Neill cover with these done Dread again, but I don't think he went near Dread after that. Could be wrong. Hit me up in the comments if I am. Now, this isn't a typical cover of his, I'll admit, except the faces. There's something about the angular shading on the faces. Now, he only done the cover on this, and I know it's not quintessential Kevin O'Neill, but I thought it was interesting that you may not have seen this, because this is one of the banned issues because of this. The Burger Wars strip. So I just thought I'd quickly show you that. That's one of the infamous, it's obviously mine artwork, but I just thought I'd quickly show you that. Bit of Dave Gibbons in the background while we're there looking at artwork. Nice bit of Dave Gibbons on Dan Dare. Another one whose style didn't change over the years, you know, another one off. So I just thought that was interesting. 1978. Again, this one is just a cover. I believe it's just a cover. Yeah. This one again. And again, this is typical Kevin. You can spot his style now a mile away, I think, anyway. Look at this intricate stuff around here. You know, bearing in mind what kind of comic it was. British comics were only transitioning at this point from something very, very different that they used to be. This again, another cover. Let's put them to. Don't know why they kept putting him on Ant Wars. To be fair, but again, what you can tell the style, the angular, the angles on everything that he seemed to put on it. And they never used to, for some reason, he didn't do curved lines as well as he did the angles and the intricate details of it. Now 2000 AD was joined up with another comic called Star-Lord, and from Star-Lord he's done this cover. So you've got 2000 AD and Star-Lord. Now we're still in 1978, I believe, with this. So you know, we're still only one, yeah, not even 2 years in, year and a half. Nice cover by O'Neill again, all the classic, all the, you know, look, even the detail on this stuff. And this is Roadbusters, which he done a lot of the early artwork on. A group of robots, if you're not familiar with it, a group of robots. They was kind of like the Suicide Squad of yesteryear sent in, but this was a different story involving the Vulcan invasion and stuff like that, and which led on to the ABC Warriors, which he did some early work on as well, because obviously it involved Hammerstein in the ABC Warriors. Look how he enjoys, I know I keep going on about it, but look how he enjoys this stuff. You can tell. You can just tell, but it doesn't mean that he can't do. That's what I mean. But he loved this stuff. Look how detailed this is. Just for one little panel. Look, one little panel. in black and white. This is lovely stuff. I don't think he did, you know, he didn't do this kind of effect very often, to be fair, or these backgrounds. No, I don't know if that was him or whether that was an art assist by someone else to give it more impact, but he tended to do that in a completely different style, in a different way. Don't know if he was messing around like here. This looks a bit Mike McMahon-ish. You know, he didn't hold on to that style. That wasn't Kevin O'Neill. This was. So I don't know. You know, maybe. Well, we never find out now, will we? Unless, you know, people come forward and that they've got their anecdotes and stuff. Right, again, another summer special. This was 1978, and again, he's on the cover. He's done the cover. It's gone up 5p, look, from 1977. I think that's just a nice. That you know, that's quintessential Kevin O'Neill for me. Look, again, I know I keep pointing it out. You can see it, but you know, there's not a detail left of this. You know, there's not. Instead of just doing that as a surface, no, he's got to do the tiny little sections, like tiny little bits. Instead of just doing one stock and being done with it and gone, no, he's got to do all these little. What's it? Now, Mach Zero was kind of like a after Mach 1, which was their Bionic Man, their $6 Million Man storyline. Mach Zero was the one that went wrong, so he was the monster. A bit like along the lines of the Hulk. I don't think his artwork suited this story at all. You can tell how well it goes down with the robot versus the body. But what is in this comic strip he's done, where Mach Zero is inhuman, it does seem to kind of. And again, like the inhumane qualities of Nemesis, which I still believe is his greatest work. You can see why he suited it so well. Look, lovely, it's lovely stuff. But making a monster and doing the aliens, I think he's done a fantastic job in later years when he got put on that. And a bit of a throwaway story, like I say. These were all put together cheap and cheerfully. Yeah, but what a lovely cover. I think that still stands up today, to be fair, as a piece of art, as a piece of artwork. Tornado. This wasn't a great comic. Sorry, got two comics in one there. This wasn't a great comic at all. I've still got the Turbo Flyer, but I didn't think anyone wanted to see that. Now, obviously, that's not Kevin O'Neill cover. That's Dave Gibbons as the first real-life superhero. There were photos. Look, he's the Big E. That's the hog, the editor of 2000 AD. They're presenting this comic. It wasn't very good at all. Wasn't very good at all. But what it was memorable for is on the back page, another one-page strip. Not written by Kevin O'Neill, but his artwork again, Captain Klepp. Another humour strip. It wasn't until I was going through some of these old comics for, you know, I kind of knew roughly where the Kevin O'Neill stuff was, where I started putting all this stuff together. You know, why all the humour stuff? But you know, if you only knew him for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he was doing Captain Klepp in 1978. In 1979 he was drawing this cover. You know, 2000 AD's moving on now. It's gone in with style, like I mentioned. Here's another Roadbuster story. Now I think he's really coming into his own now. I think he's really coming into his own style. You know, you're not getting none of this McMahon stuff. You're getting the very straight, clean, shiny, you know, the robotic effect of. This is great stuff. This is great stuff. And this duotone as well on there. I love it. I didn't experiment with that a lot, I don't think. But like I say, this is, you know, we're still only 2 years into him having started at 2000 AD. I don't know what he did before that. Like I say, I'm just doing my tribute You know, didn't do glamorous women very often, did he? He can do them. And this is early days, so obviously you could say it's crude, but you know, that the robot's better drawn. You could say that. I'm not. Nice cover though. This is an early glimpse at the Blitz Spear for me. This cover. He's done nothing in. Pretty sure he doesn't do. Yeah. Oh no. It might be a Robusta story. Yeah. Here we go. So, but that reminds me of an early attempt at the Blitz Spear, which would be Nemesis's. However you pronounce it, vehicle in those stories. Look, Robot Dog, marvellous. Look at how much he's filled this. How dense these panels are. Marvellous. This is marvellous stuff. And I know that Rebellion do have you can tell that these tunnels as well. These tunnels, and this is written by Pat Mills as well. So maybe this is the early days of doing something. Maybe I didn't reread through Carousel. Yeah, that rings a bell as from the early Nemesis. So here we go. We leap forward about a year, and this was the first appearance. So this is the first appearance of Torquemada, based on the Jams Comic Rock they were called for some reason. Pat Mills writing it, Kevin O'Neill. This is the beginning, 1980. How it was suggested by the Jams going underground, I don't know, because it was nothing to do with science fiction going underground. It was to do with the tube trains, tube stations, and being beaten up. So, but anyway, they found their inspiration from that, so they say. This was a British comedian called Kenny Everett for some reason. Obviously found it funny. Here's Torquemada introducing him. You don't see Nemesis. You see Torquemada, and you see the Terminators. Now this, in 1980, this would have preceded the film, so that's interesting. This is lovely stuff. See what I mean about that other. About this, I know it's not exactly the same, but I'm just saying about the tubes that they travel through, and these vehicles. You know, this is nice actually. I was just noticing that actually. That's very Mobius, that kind of thing. I think anyway. So again, this is really impactful stuff. You can tell he's really took some leaps and bounds really in his you know, maybe it's editing other people's artwork, and you know, because I can't imagine he was a quick artist. Very inventive stuff from Pat Mills. All early days, everything coming together. I don't believe they knew where they was going with it, and look, they stream out into space through the black hole. What's it to get where they need to be going? Lovely stuff. See what I mean about explosions before, where this is more his style, whereas before maybe the duotone again, but to better effect here actually, to better effect. So Comic Rock presents, he's on the cover. Well, that's the Terminator on the cover actually, but this is nice as well. I think that is a really nice cover, a nice piece of comic artwork. The Terminator's on the cover again. I like the way it's you know, he's holding the comic. He's got no art in this issue, but I just thought I'd show that cover. Two nice covers with a Terminator on there. This issue, so he's not on the cover. Sorry, it threw me for a little while. Might have on cover doing a dread. I mean, these were in the glory days. I've got the badge. Still got a badge, don't I? I've got the free gifts, but they tend to fall off when they were sellotaped on them. But just quickly, look what was in this issue. Look, Strontium Dog by Carlos Esquerra. I've done a whole video on him. You know, talk about the glory days. The Gronk. Main Arena. I mean, this is a John Richardson issue that he drew, but Steve Dillon was on this. Dash decent. Here we go, another humour strip. Another humour strip by our mate Kevin O'Neill. He wrote this as well with I don't know who Steve. I think it was Steve Angus, was it? He wasn't exactly a 2000 AD, you know, prodigy kind of thing. But again, he's doing this quirky, this funny, just the throwaway humorous stuff when I suppose people weren't meeting, other artists weren't meeting deadlines, or when they took full page ads off of, you know, Palatoy to do Empire Strikes Back adverts. You know, I suppose still to earn money. Look at this beautiful Mike McMahon stuff. I used to love his centre spreads when he was finding this style. I know I'm digressing a little bit, but we've got to have a look at it. We must have a look at that. So the second appearance of Nemesis and Torquemada, because again, you don't see Nemesis. Torquemada's on a journey, weird goings on. He escapes, but in the meanwhile, he gets grassed up. That's nice. With the litter blowing, and you know, he's on the surface of the earth, which has been destroyed, and you know, this is at this point post-apocalyptic Earth. Here we go. You don't see him; he's in there. Nemesis, Credo is all you hear. It's nice, another nice use of duotone there. And like I say, I think this style is really developing. The intricate style was always there, as we've seen. But I hope it's kind of giving you a flavour of what he. And the next time we see, so that's part one. Next time we see, it's called Kilowatt, the second story. Nice square cover. Look, oh, Gronk, bless him. So we're in 1980 still. So this will be the third appearance of Torquemada and Nemesis, 1980. Pat Mills, Kevin O'Neill, and it's glorious stuff. Apart from wasn't Captain Klepp, was it? Apart from the other little two-page story, these are all, you know, the work. I will return. This lovely stuff. Credo, that's all we got out of him. You know, Torquemada was the star of the show until I suppose he and Pat Mills, you know, talked it through and fleshed it out, you know, as I'm sure Pat Mills would have done. And so we come to Nemesis is back. So this is 81. So we are September. We're about a year later now. So we're about a year later. Now we're into. Now this is pure. What I consider pure Kevin O'Neill. Down to the tiny little lines that all the way along here and stuff. You know, now we're into it. I think. The style that he would, you know, he's found his feet, found his style, he's experimented with stuff, and now we've got, and here we go. Look at that. The aliens, obviously, this is the first time we see Nemesis. So, in this story, I like the way they've done manuscript Brother Mills, and you know, because it is the name Torquemada, and you know, it's about inquisitors and, you know, terminators and alien races, and his artwork. Pat Mills is a subversive writer. Like I've done a Charlie's War piece, and obviously that was Pat Mills writing. His writing is subversive, and this storyline about Torquemada wanting to, you know, kill all alien races, murder all alien races. You know, the humans want to take everyone out. I mean, a bit on the nose by today's standards, but this alien tech stuff was just pure O'Neill. Look, you can tell how much he's loving it. Goodness, you know, you get the scale of it. Love it. Just love it. But I definitely think this was the point where he found his feet. And you know, so this is, you know, second issue, Nemesis versus Torquemada on the cover. Look at this stuff. It is alien. You know, if you want someone to conjure up, you know, the unearthliness of, look at this. As a setup, love it. Now, I had to have thought about this with a page count as well. I don't know what came before it. Oh, lovely Ian Gibson artwork, look, on Ace Trucking. Anyway, this is, look, even that to the hands, keeping him alien. Keeping him as an alien. This is nice. There we go, look. Hell's Harvest. So, end of 1981, obviously that's a lovely, beautiful Brian Bolland cover. Why did I pick this out? Bear with me, there will be more Nemesis in the back, but let's just take a look at that. Oh, what a lovely cover. He'd done some fantastic covers for 2000 AD in these days. See, this is Ron Smith on Dread. I said earlier on about how Ron Smith loved detailed backgrounds and stuff, but that's where the similarity ends. That's where the similarity ends. I'm not saying he copied his style, because look, who else was going to do that? He still had that. He's still got that quirky sense to his storytelling, Kevin O'Neill. I'm realising it's only like as I'm talking and trying to show and tell as they do in school, but that's what made him an artist above. Look, Road Trip, Dave Gibbons. Oh, just class. What a class comic. What a class act this comic was back in the day, early 80s. And I know you can get most of this stuff now anyway. I'm wondering if that was a Dylan cover then, but I don't think it is. Doesn't look like, because Steve Dillon did do a run on Mean Arena on that story when he was very, very young. I think he was like 17 or 18, not even out, or just out, or 19, just out of art college or whatever it was, or his first year, and he was drawing for 2000 AD at such a standard. But back on track, bit more Nemesis, because like I say, this is where for me he'd found his style, and this is what carried him through. You know, he found it, he cemented his style. Great, just great stuff. And more of the alien. It was more the alien stuff, the you know, the other, the unknown. Oh, sorry. So again, another issue, just one more. Obviously, that's a Bella Nardinelli cover. His artwork on Ace Trucking was, like I say, this period of time, 2000 AD. But just one more little look at Nemesis, and that'll do us, I think. That's what we wanted, wasn't it? To a cruel deviant. That's it's a pure Pat Mills all day long, isn't it? And this extended fight scene, he doesn't do that often, does he? To be fair, Pat Mills doesn't do that often at all. Credo. That's the end of book one. Now that wasn't book one in its, you know, complete entirety, but just some of the best pages. Just some of the best pages from that story. Now, just quickly, a Dan Dare annual. He would have been art assistant on, you know, well, this is a 2080 production. He didn't have his own comic at that time, but they gave him his own annual because he was supposed to be the star of the show when 2000 AD was launched. Done them in the wrong order, but here we go. That's 1980, the year previously, and he done an inside story as well. I think he'd done something on the inside of this one actually. No, I think it's some of the other ones I've got. So this Dan Dareanu, he's done another Dread. Why they kept putting him? Why they put him on Judge Dredd 2 or 3 times? I don't know. And gave him a cover and stuff, but again, not the best, even in colour. Not his best, but he might have had to do a fill-in story. Another annual, nice Bolland cover, obviously, not Kevin O'Neill. But now we're into the era of going and getting them signed. So I've got Brian Bolland, John Watkins, is it? Robin Smith, obviously, who drew this strip. I think he took over from Kevin O'Neill actually, Robin Smith, as the art editor, I believe, or the art. And here we go. I've gone and got it signed by Kevin O'Neill. How about that? Love it. Secret of the Blitzspear. Again, this is just an odd bod that I thought I would show off, just to, you know, show how magnificent the guy's art was. He's really coming into it now, isn't he? Like the two of them with Pat Mills writing it and him drawing it. I mean, that was, you know, the beginning. No, this is nice stuff. That, you know, evokes exactly what Pat Mills was trying to get over here, but where you didn't know what side really you was on, because they was more, you know, you almost believed Torquemada when he said, you know, how alien they were and they needed to be eradicated, so to speak. You know, it had that conflicting. It was nice to have that conflicting perspective on it. Nice Dave Gibbons cover. Year after, Kevin O'Neill signed it right there. This lovely Ian Gibson artwork, look, coloured. Alan Moore, Mike McMahon, John Wagner. They were good signings, they were, over at Forbidden Planet. Here's a day in the death of Torquemada. So they're still, you know, this is 1984 and they're still, you know, Kevin O'Neill and Pat Mills would have written it yet, and Pat Mills. Doesn't it look nice in this yellowed paper? I've got to admit, it does give it that feel that Pat Mills was going for. Look, with the old manuscript writer and, you know, this looking all gothic, and the gothic alien vibe that Kevin O'Neill's artwork. That's only a 4-pager. That's it, job done. He's still got his mask on in bed, look. She don't look too pleased to be his consort. But anyway, we will move on from that. I just thought that was a nice quirky little. These annual covers are lovely. I loved Mike McMahon when he was doing Sane, and I loved him on Dread. Not so much Road True, but that was Dave Gibbons. But these were the old signings. Look, that's a little flyer for the signings. Alan Moore, Bolland, Wagner, Kevin O'Neill, 84, and that's the only. I think that's the only Kevin O'Neill. I just thought, yes, it is. Some nice, you know. There's a load of tons of stuff in this, but will be all year. You know, again, they're not leaving Torquemada out of it. Nemesis. They're not, you know, they're not leaving it, the character alone. You can tell it was a stalwart of 2000 AD. Now, just before we go on to the more modern stuff, I've just, rather than leaf through more and more comics, just a issue of the Ultimate Collection, just to show you some of his ABC Warriors stuff. Like I say, I showed you the Roadbusters and Hammerstein. They did war memoirs of him. Who was a member of Roadbusters. There's old Roadjaws. But this is about him joining the ABC Warriors. So there's a little prelude here, and, you know, the days of glory when he was Hammerstein, before we saw him in Roadbusters. And again, this is nice, isn't it? But, you know, if there's strips, that's wonderful. That was a wonderful centre spread in the comic. bit blurred out. Like the reproduction isn't great quality, to be fair, on that. But in black and white, this is obviously a lot better stuff. Nice, detailed. Kevin O'Neill, look, classic. Just a classic, like I say. He couldn't just do a plain surface, even on a grenade. Look, he just couldn't do a plain surface. He had to, you know, so intricately done. And well, that's what he made his name doing. He gets his comeuppance in the end. Bit of a, that's pure Pat Mills with a war allegory, and the officers enjoying themselves while, you know, and he's got his eye on him. And then just one more before we go into the modern era of all this 2000 AD stuff. I just thought this was a lovely detailed. I don't know what issue it was from, but it says here ABC Warriors Titan Edition Book 2. It's the story's from, but maybe it was just done for that, and it's an epilogue. But look at this alien stuff here, which obviously on Nemesis, and the two Nemesis and or Torquemada and stroke Nemesis and ABC Warriors did start crossing paths, I believe. So that's just a little epilogue to the story. But again, might have missed it. You might have missed it. Then it's all obviously all more. That's all ABC Warriors stuff. So that is the end of the what I will call the 2000 AD era. And then he joined forces again with Pat Mills for Marshal Law. But I'm pretty sure that everyone's familiar with the Marshal Law stuff, and then the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen that won a lot of plaudits and awards, and justifiably so. But just one, I've just thought this was unusual, because with Kevin O'Neill, obviously we know about Marshal Law, and he's a hero hunter. You know, he hunts down superheroes. It was Pat Mills' darkest fantasy of murdering superheroes brought to life. But with the Mask, with a team up with a Mask, oh, blow your mind. Teamed up with a Mask. I'm just going to show you how, you know, it goes from like cartoony slapstick to what O'Neill does with it, which I thought was really nice. Look at this stuff. I thought this was really nice what he'd done, and obviously that's the kind of classic what we expect from most artists. But in O'Neill's hands, you know, that plus obviously the character that he co-created, I don't know, I just thought it was a little oddity, and it was done by Dark Horse rather than I forget who first published. It was Epic. It was Epic Comics first published Marshal Law. Nice. That's nice. And this would have been I don't know what year this was. 98. I think I did say that in the intro as well, and obviously I showed that cover in the intro, and I think there's a dedication in here, yeah, to Archie Goodwin, yeah, for giving him his break, for commissioning Marshal Law. And again, just more weird and wonderful stuff that only Kevin O'Neill's imagination could have come up with, really, I think, anyway. I wasn't the biggest fan of Marshal Law, I suppose, because I was a big fan of superheroes, to be fair. And it kind of predated things like The Boys and Kick-Ass and all that Marshal Law, you know, where it's taking superheroes to the nth degree, and, you know, seriously. So you know, for want of a better description. Now, bringing things right up to date quickly. And I'll end on these. This is the latest stuff that I've got of Kevin Moore's artwork. I think this is in 2016. Now I don't know if this how long he was ill for. Whether this was one of his last, you know, one of his last runs of storytelling. They're not the greatest. They're saying Alan Moore, but he's. I hate to say, I think he's past his sell-by date, Alan Moore, but yeah, I don't know. more importantly is I think Kevin was adapting his style. He's always had that cartoony element to his work, and going back to the Captain Clep and the Benji Beyond the Stars and all that kind of thing, you know, like I say, these stories ain't up to much as far as I'm concerned, really. I don't get it. But this almost like a European style, and I know he's European, he's English, but you know what I mean, like the kind of mainland European classical style. There's a feel to this work that maybe he was ready to transition into this, maybe not as detailed, a bit looser. And it's nice. I think it's nice. I think it's nice stuff. I really do. The nice cover of it, you can still tell it's him. And I'll go through one more story. These are all different stories, all based in Cinema Purgatorio, but it's, you know, they're all, I say, just a, you know, it's supposed to be a bit too mature, and this is a film, but yeah, don't know about the story. But like I say, look at his style, just changing, just kind of loosening up, maybe to become a bit more prolific with his work, because, you know, doing that detailed artwork, you know, that very meticulously detailed stuff, probably took him forever and a day, you know. And these are just a couple more covers. I won't go into the insides of them, because it's more of the same. It's more of the same with his different style. I love this cover. I love that Groucho cover. And obviously Groucho, Kong. You know, these are the old noir gangster films. This is an interesting one. That to me doesn't look like any kind of Kevin O'Neill stuff, and it is signed by him as well, that I know at all. But we know why he's doing it, adapting it to the story and for the cover of the comic. But just from these, you know, 6 years ago, you can see loosening up the style. Maybe just for these stories. Maybe if he'd done another Nemesis, he'd be back to his old storylines, but or his old art style. But wouldn't say they're classic Kevin O'Neill from what I grew up with and come to know and love. But it's interesting that he was adapting his style in this way. You know, not too long before he became ill. So I don't know if this was the last strip he did, or not. This is the last issue I've got. I don't know if it's the last issue that they published. And again, we're coming into that more of a loose style again. You can just tell it's lighter. It's lighter in its touch. It needs to be, because of the storyline. You know, it isn't robots. It isn't sci-fi. It isn't war. All the stuff we come to, or, you know, weird and wonderful characters like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And he obviously worked with Alan Moore before and enjoys doing so. So it did need a new style. But yeah, but that's what I thought was an interesting. We'll end it on that, shall we? Exit. And I hope you enjoyed that little personal tribute via my collection of Kevin O'Neill. Rest in peace, mate. Your artwork will be appreciated for many years to come. You've left a body of work that, you know, that will not be equalled. And on that note, hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like, or if you didn't, but if you do, let me know. If you dislike, let me know why, and then I can make the videos better. Yeah, please subscribe if you like them. It all helps to know that people are out there appreciating this stuff. And other than that, I will bid you adios.